What giants are standing in front of you today? And what if they're not as big as they seem? Pause for a second. Let that question sink in. We all face giants. They may not carry swords or wear armor, but they stand tall in the form of fear, rejection, addiction, insecurity, financial pressure, or even a broken dream. They show up at your workplace, in your relationships, in the silent battles that nobody sees. And maybe today, you feel small. Maybe you feel overlooked, underqualified, unchosen. If that's you, then this story is for you. Because once upon a time, there was a young boy, a shepherd, a kid who spent more time with sheep than soldiers. His name was David. No one believed in him, not his brothers, not the king, not even his father thought he was worth calling to the battlefield. He was the youngest, the least, the one everyone walked past. But God didn't, and neither should we. Because what the world overlooks, God appoints. What people underestimate, God empowers. David didn't come to the battlefield with a sword. He didn't wear armor. He didn't have a reputation or a title. But he had one thing that changed everything: a heart that trusted God. While the army of Israel trembled before a 9-foot giant named Goliath, David stepped forward with nothing but a sling, 5 stones, and unshakable faith. This isn't just a story about defeating a giant. It's a story about how true courage is born, not in muscle, not in might, but in the quiet confidence of knowing who walks with you. So today, if you're facing something bigger than you, remember David, because giants fall, not when we shout the loudest, but when we trust the deepest. Are you ready to step into the story? Let's go. So here we are. The battlefield is set. The army of Israel stands frozen, not from exhaustion, but from fear. Because every day, for 40 days, a giant steps forward. Goliath, 9 feet tall, armor like iron, voice like thunder. He mocks. He laughs. He dares someone, anyone, to fight him. But no one moves. Not even the bravest of warriors. Not the strongest. Not the most trained. And then comes a boy. David doesn't come to fight. Not at first. He comes to serve. Just a kid bringing food to his older brothers. A delivery boy in a war zone. But when he hears Goliath's words, something rises in him. Not fear, but fury. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? That's David's question. Not, can I do it? Not, am I big enough? Not, what if I fail? His question is, how dare he insult the God I know? You see, David knew something the others forgot. The battle doesn't belong to men. It belongs to God. But of course, no one takes him seriously. Not his brothers. They roll their eyes and mock him. Not King Saul. He tells David he's too young, too weak, too untested. But David stands firm. He doesn't have the resume, but he has the receipts. When a lion came to steal my father's sheep, I chased it. When a bear attacked, I struck it down. God delivered me then, and he will deliver me now. Can you imagine the courage? Not courage born from arrogance, but from experience. Experience with a God who had never failed him. David's confidence wasn't in his own strength, but in the faithfulness of his God. So Saul agrees, reluctantly. He offers David his own armor, but David refuses. I can't wear this, he says. I haven't tested it. David didn't need someone else's armor. He just needed what he knew. A sling, 5 stones, and faith. That's it. Then he walks toward Goliath. The giant laughs. He sees a child, and he sees easy victory. But David sees something else. He sees a moment, not just to fight, but to prove to the world that God still moves. that God still wins, that faith still matters. And David speaks one of the boldest declarations ever recorded. You come to me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand. 1 Samuel 17:45-46. He runs, not away, but toward the giant. One stone, one shot, straight to the forehead. The giant crashes to the ground. Silence, then chaos, then victory. Because what no soldier could do, the shepherd boy did. Not with strength, not with armor, but with the faith of someone who knew the power of God. Friend, this story isn't just ancient history. It's not just a children's tale. It's your story. How many times have people underestimated you? How many times have you been told you're not ready? You're not strong enough. You're not the one. How many battles in your life feel too big, too loud, too impossible? Listen to me. The God of David hasn't changed, and he's not looking for the tallest, the loudest, the richest, or the most qualified. He's looking for a heart that trusts, a heart that obeys, a heart that believes even when the odds say, you can't. Because your Goliath, whatever it is, isn't the end of your story. It may be the beginning of your testimony. Like David, you may not have the armor, you may not have the sword, but if you've got faith, you've got enough. So, what do we take away from this story? David didn't win because he was the strongest. He didn't win because he had the best training or the finest weapons. He won because his heart was in the right place, fixed on God. That's the real message here. True faith doesn't require muscle. It requires a heart that believes God is greater than the giant. And maybe you needed that reminder today. Because maybe you're standing in front of something that looks massive. A diagnosis, a layoff, a broken relationship, a voice in your head that whispers, you're not enough. The world might look at you and say, you're too small, too unqualified, too late. But heaven never agreed with that assessment. God sees differently. While people focus on the resume, God looks at the character. While others size you up from the outside, God searches the depth of your heart. Let's bring it home. David was overlooked, even by his own father. When the prophet Samuel came to anoint a king, Jesse didn't even bring David into the room. He wasn't the first choice. He wasn't even considered a choice. But he was God's choice. That's powerful, because it tells you and me that being overlooked by people doesn't mean being forgotten by God. You may be underestimated, but you are not unseen. So, what do we do with this? We face our giants, not because we feel strong, but because we trust the one who is. We speak up when we're afraid. We stand firm when the odds are stacked. We move forward when fear tells us to freeze, because our battle belongs to the Lord, and we are not fighting alone. Let me ask you, what giants are standing in your life today? What fear has been shouting at you from the valley? What voices have told you, stay small? Don't try. You'll never win. Maybe today's the day you stop listening. Maybe today's the day you pick up your stone, whatever it is, and start walking toward that giant with a trembling hand and a faithful heart. Because just like David, you are not defined by how tall you are, but by how deep your trust runs. So, to the one who feels unseen, too young, too broken, or too late, here's what David teaches us. Your past doesn't disqualify your future. Your weakness doesn't cancel out God's power. And your size doesn't matter when your God is mighty. So go ahead, face that giant, not in your own name, not in your own strength, but in the name of the Lord of hosts, the same God who raised up a shepherd boy to lead a nation. Because sometimes the smallest one in the fight is the biggest threat to the enemy. Don't wait to feel big. Trust big and step forward. Your story isn't small. It's just beginning.